Pseudo-intellectuals are running rampant. Most scientists are too busy with actually doing shit to really check these people, but somebody we know very well named Terrence Howard has already gotten checked twice. Yet, he still seems to be in the public eye, yapping away. This time, he was on Billy Carson's podcast, another charlatan in his own right. If you guys don't know who Billy Carson is another person who recently got inducted into the Rogan sphere, and before that, he was just yapping on his own podcast about the Anunnaki. Guy's a complete charlatan, takes money from people, doesn't really say where it's gonna go, and he basically got rich off of telling people that we live in an ancient apocalypse civilization run by the Anunnaki, who also have a whole story. I mean, this stuff is kind of like religious in a sense. So anyway, these two decided to join forces and had a conversation that sounded like two stoners in the back of a school bus yapping about nonsense. So I'm gonna go through this video with you guys, have a laugh, and kind of tell you why I think Terrence Howard is a grandiose narcissist, and Billy Carson is well on his way to being there as well. I'm not gonna do any of the technical debunking about the scientific facts and the mathematics and all that stuff, because somebody has done that way better than me. If you guys don't know who Professor Dave is, go check out his channel, because he absolutely tore Terrence to shreds. But I'm gonna tell you the kind of tactics that Terrence uses to build this cult-like following and why people follow him. And why people idolize people like this is beyond me. It's very clear and obvious to me that this person is full of shit. And if it's not obvious to you, hopefully by the end of this video it will be, because it is very important that we teach people how to discern bullshitters from authentic people. And that's what I'm going to try to do today. Also, this video is called Terrence Howard and Billy Carson Unlock the Matrix Code. People who define reality as the Matrix. No. Relax, dude. It's not the Matrix, you know? It's reality. And even if it was a simulation, it's still real to you. Give it a break. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Dave Blacks, and without further ado, let's just get into this video. Let's just talk about it all. Boxes, I cannot fit in the boxes. Stop it. This intro song is absolutely garbage. Also, forbidden knowledge, the fucking audacity.
1977, I saw something in my backyard that I perceived to not be an airplane. I didn't know about UFOs. I didn't know about aliens or flying saucers. I just knew what I saw was an orb. This is going to force science to rewrite books.
This is the fractal.
Yes.
You wrap yourself in the key of that other galaxy, or the edge of that galaxy. You wrap yourself up in that vibration. Guess what? You don't need to use any energy except maintaining that vibration, and the universe will move you over here.
You know, advanced beings exist. You didn't say alien. Advanced beings, they thought I was just crazy. All Satan and devil worship and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Anything that I questioned. I'm always good when they need some money, though. When they need some money, I'm always the money is good. The devil money is always good when they need the money.
And then they thank Jehovah for you giving them the money.
An AI-generated baby Terrence. Crazy.
Terrence Howard is a celebrated American actor known for his strong performances in movies such as Hustle and Flow and Iron Man. He was born March 11th, 1969 in Chicago, Illinois, to Tyrone Howard and Anita Williams. He came from a family of actors. His maternal great-grandmother, Minnie Gentry, was a stage actress, and his mother and uncles were actors as well. His father taught Terrence discipline at a very early age. His family struggled financially for many years before Terrence decided to move to New York to become an actor. At first, he enrolled as a student of chemical engineering at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York.
AI Terrence in a lab. Why don't you just show some pictures of Terrence in a lab actually doing something? Oh, that's right. He didn't do anything. This intro is far too long. I'm just gonna skip this and go to the video and get to the point where they start yapping.
I mean, were you ever into religion? And if so, how did that encourage you to explore science and invention?
Well, my mother raised us as, Baptist, Methodist, that whole Christendom aspect of it. We believed every part of that. My father, when he went to prison when I was 3, when he came back out, he was a Muslim. So he taught us Islam, and we became Muslims. I have an Islamic name, Suleiman.
Wow.
And that desire to worship the one true God, that what he instilled in us. But there was something that happened when I'm like 13. There was a young brother named Yakub, used to wear his dashiki, was really cool with my dad, had this great skunk-like, musk-like cologne on, and he was a man of integrity. But then one day I come home and there's a bunch of my father's friends around, all Muslims, and they're all talking in the living room. And I asked what had happened, and they said that Yakub was in jail because he had apparently cut off some man's genitals who had urinated on the masjid.
Hat on top of hoodie. Diabolical. But I'm not one to talk because I have a hood on top of my hat. That's the right way it's supposed to go. If you have a hat on, you put the hood over the hat. You don't put the hat over the hood. So right out of the gate, already crazy. Now we're talking about genital castration. Nice. Remember on Joe Rogan when he told everybody that he remembered his own birth? I wonder if he's gonna bring that up again.
Now, I'm like, this is a child of God.
Yeah.
I don't care what my son does.
Right.
I would much rather you come and tell me than don't mutilate my child out of thinking you're respecting me. Don't kill your brother in this way, even if he doesn't know that he's your brother yet. So I began to question that, and then I questioned the idea of equanimity and justice. How can a just God burn someone forever? This is going back to the Bible. For something that they have done, even if it was heinous, for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. There's no way I could burn my child that went wayward forever and torment them forever, calling myself a loving God. So then I had to look at the doctrine and where it was leading me to and what was the necessity of it. And you have to look behind the curtain.
What? I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of hard. So apparently this got Terry questioning whether he should be into religion, and he started questioning everything because how can you burn in hell for so long, which doesn't match, as you'll see with the rest of this interview, because he constantly brings up God and biblical stuff like anytime that he can. So it got him questioning things, but then again it kind of didn't. I don't know.
The Bible did say something that impressed me. It said that God was suspending the circle of the earth above nothing at all. And then there was another point in Job, it says, where God was four angels are at the four corners of the earth holding back the winds. And I'm like, how does a sphere have four corners?
So like I said before, you're gonna notice Terrence using religious language a lot. And now he's talking about four corners, and he says, how does a globe have four corners? It's a circle, so how does it have four corners? That got my brain expanding because you can't have four corners in a globe. You know what I mean? No, Terrence, you can't have four corners in a globe. It's a figure of speech. People still say the four corners of the earth. It's not literally four corners of the earth. It's just different parts of the earth. It's not literal, all right? Even when back in that day, the passage probably thought the world was flat, they don't mean literal four corners of the earth. It's a figure of speech.
Your journey in quantum physics really began with yourself.
Yeah.
And how does one begin? And I'm in the same boat as you, obviously, but I want other people to hear, like, what was your journey in learning quantum physics?
I swear to God, if he says anything other than I studied it at a university, I'm going to lose my.
Well, you hear these stories about Einstein or these great inventors or physicists, but then the information and the theories that they present are contradictory to each other. And I was like, how are these things making any kind of progress or attempting to assist progress into advancing any math or any technology if they are all in conflict? And I kept waiting. I thought by the time I got 30 or 40, you know, all of these, whether string theory was real or not, it would be proven, or whether relativity was real or not. I was like, Einstein never received a Nobel Prize except for his work on the photoelectric effect, and that was Max Planck's work.
Right.
That he was just verifying, but Einstein didn't get none of his stuff really came to full fruition.
Okay, let me just stop Terry right there. There's a reason why Terrence Howard name drops Einstein, and it's because he wants to really hammer home the fact that he knows more than Einstein. That's why he's name dropping all these other people who've done really great things. He thinks that knowing who people are means that you can do what they can do. He thinks by telling you, like, oh yeah, Max Planck and Albert Einstein and Russell, he name drops so much. You're gonna notice he just name drops everybody because that's his trick. He wants to get you to think that he knows a lot because he knows these people. Now, anybody can do this. Anybody can just watch a bunch of history videos and know a bunch of names. Okay, you're gonna have to do a little bit more than that to convince me that you studied quantum physics.
But I couldn't get any understanding from that, so I started looking into the people that were questioning, that were enemies of Einstein's ideas, in a sense.
Of his concepts,
so I went into Lorentz, who in 1905, who had his own idea regarding the electron and the superpositioning of models of how everything behaved. But his stuff was based off of Maxwell's work, and Maxwell's work was based off of an ether. Everyone believed that there was this subspace ether, this fabric of space. And so I looked into their work and John Keely's work and Victor Schauberger's work.
He's doing the equivalent of that saying where they're like, if you're ever in prison, go up to the biggest person and punch them in the face. That'll get you everybody's respect. Well, that's the equivalent of what Terrence Howard is doing right now. He's going up to the biggest name in science, Albert Einstein, and he's punching him in the face to show that he is the one who knows everything. But what do we know about the person who punches the biggest prisoner in the face? We know that they're scared. We know that they do that as a defense mechanism because they don't want people to see who they really are. And it's the same thing with Terrence Howard.
And the 4% that they have out there, the speed of light, that's not a true constant in it because light changes its speed depending on the medium it goes through. That's like having the speed of the human race. You know, black people are going to run differently than white people, than Asians. Everything is going to change. It's a conditional fact.
If you haven't figured out that this man is a bumbling buffoon from that sentence right there, I can't help you. I really can't. The speed of light is constant, and it doesn't change when it goes through anything. Also, what the actual is he talking about? This is what he said. Different mediums. That's like saying black people run as fast as white people, run as fast as Asians, run as fast as... What are you even talking about? First of all, is he trying to say that the mediums that the light goes through are different, like the different races of people? That's a bad example because all people run the same. Some people run faster, but it doesn't have anything to do with race. Everybody's different on the race scale depending on how physically fit you're all. So what is Terrence talking about? What is he talking about, bro? Nobody ever knows what this man is talking about. He belongs under a bridge somewhere, babbling with his hat on his hood, just and going like this, just... The constant speed of light is where the black people run as fast as Asians, as fast as white people, as fast as constant, because light is never constant, and constant light never tries to move, and everything that's constant goes in a third. That's where he belongs, under a bridge doing that somewhere, all right?
Everything is going to change. It's a conditional fact.
Yeah.
You're going to change according to the conditions, and light adjusts depending on the conditions. So a lot of those things I saw as unrealities, and I couldn't rely on them.
Gotcha.
So that was me. What about you?
So again, Terry totally didn't answer how did you get into quantum physics, or how are you an expert? How did you learn quantum physics? No type of answer to that. All we got is him rambling on and yapping about the space-time continuum, or whatever, the constant speed of light. Terry, where did you learn this stuff from? He's not gonna say, because it's literally from YouTube videos probably. I think that's the problem with this day and age, is that we have the illusion of knowing everything. Like, we have so many videos and the world at the touch of our hands that it feels like we just know so much and we can be an expert on anything just by watching videos. But it's an illusion, because just like how we use our phones, if we had to dismantle our phones and put it back together, or open up our phones and see what does what, we don't know how the phone actually functions. We know how to use it, but we don't know how to put it back together and build it. And so we have this illusion that we're experts on the phone, but we're not really. And that's a lot like how life is right now. You could act like you're an expert on anything by just watching going down a YouTube rabbit hole, and then you know all this stuff. Anybody can lock themselves in a room for fucking months at a time and just learn information. That doesn't make you an expert. So Terry asks Billy, what about you? Buckle in. Let's buckle up for this answer, because I guarantee you it's not. I studied it. I'm a professor. I've done X amount of work in the field. No. I guarantee it's not going to be that. It can't be, because we're in an alternate universe. Maybe I should just be on their show and just be like, you know what? Since you guys exist, I think we're in an alternate universe, because you guys are flipping things upside down.
Well, me, it was really interesting. I loved science when I was in school, science and chemistry. I was really good at it, but I didn't have a thirst for it until around 2010. So around 2010,
how old were you then?
39 years old, and I had already been studying aerospace technology for years. I studied aerospace technology since 1977. In 1977, I saw something in my backyard that I perceived to not be an airplane. I didn't know about UFOs. I didn't know about aliens or flying saucers. I just knew what I saw was an orb, a little bit longer or elongated than an egg, glowing metal, and it moved across the horizon in seconds, not minutes. It didn't have a cockpit, didn't have wings, didn't have windows on it or anything. And it came back and stopped completely silent, and it just disappeared again. I ran in the house and told my mom, and she was like, there was advanced beings in the ancient past. And she told me about Machu Picchu. She said they used to live on tops of big mountains. And that was in 77.
Billy says he's been studying aerospace for years, and immediately goes off onto a story about how he saw something in his backyard. Okay, how you saw something in the backyard doesn't make you an aerospace engineer, okay? Seeing something in the backyard doesn't qualify you for that. Maybe that's just where he got started, okay? We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that's just where he got started, okay? But the rest of that story. So apparently, in this story, a young Billy is outside playing in the backyard, and he just sees an alien spaceship. And he runs inside, he tells his mom, there's a spaceship in the backyard. And without batting an eye, she just goes, yep. 2,000 years ago, there was ancient civilizations on Machu Picchu. And, listen, I have never heard one black woman in my entire life mention Machu Picchu, okay? It's a made-up story. That didn't happen. To give Billy credit, I mean, in this made-up story, Why, if that happened, if your mom was so into that, she didn't run outside and be like, oh, where is it? I want to see it. I haven't seen one of those since Machu Picchu, whatever the fuck she was gonna say. Why didn't she say any of that? Come on, Bill. Like, do better with the storytelling, please. I'm begging you. Your mom just mentioned Machu Picchu to you. Okay, that's great. I know Billy's doing this because he's trying to create this little, backstory for him, this hero's journey kind of story for him. Like, he got touched by an alien, so now, ever since then, he's been on the quest to discover ancient aliens,
Fast forward, that gave me a quench in the thirst for technology, just understanding aerospace, swept wing, delta wing, ballistics, and everything else. I studied all that stuff for years. Didn't get really deep into the science other than basic high school science. But in 2010, when I was 39, something really changed. I had a very strange experience at my house with, I don't know exactly what it is. I mean, I talked about it on a few podcasts before. I felt like an otherworldly experience that I had. But after that experience happened, something happened to me with wanting to understand science at a deeper level, into quantum physics. And I really started deep diving into physics. A lot of the same people you mentioned, I was researching them, studying them heavily. I actually went to Khan University, Khan. It used to be free, but now you have to pay, I think, a minimum like $10-15 a month or something like that right now online, an online university for quantum physics. So I went there online, started taking those courses, and I was able to understand all this information. And it was so incredible. I just kept diving deeper. And then I opened up a Facebook group for quantum physics on Facebook, and it grew to like 139, 140,000 students. And I would help them answer questions in there and so forth, over time. And so that's really how I got into quantum physics. I just really developed this thirst for it. And I'm only talking about that incident that happened because it didn't happen until after the incident. Something triggered something or sparked something in me that made me dive into it.
So our boy Billy has had 2 experiences now. Apparently he had another one when he was 39 years old. And that one was the one that sparked, his interest in quantum physics. Are you sensing a pattern here? I think there's a pattern. If something happens to him, he dives into aerospace. Something else happens to him, he dives into quantum physics. I don't know, he might be using the same story a lot, but it could be, it's all probably just a coincidence. We shouldn't really look into that anymore. Billy, watching videos on Khan Academy does not now make you equivalent to other quantum physicists. Like, you're not Michio Kaku now because you went to Khan Academy. That's not how that works, okay? There's a lot of disrespect in colleges with the college thing, and I get it. I understand why. But the reason why a lot of people go to college is because it tests you. You go through these courses and you're supposed to study. If you don't, that's on you. But you go through these courses and you study, and then you take a test which you see how much you've retained from your studying, right? And then you graduate, hopefully. Hopefully you make a lot of connections. You practice a little bit in the field of your study while you're still in school. You practice, you go in labs, and you do hands-on work, okay? That's the difference between just watching videos. You do hands-on work, okay? And then after you graduate, for a lot of fields, you still then have to go through this internship process, maybe be a studying doctor where you're shadowing people and stuff like this. Okay, the disrespect, the gall that Bill and Terrence have to sit up here and act like they are quantum physicists while we're just watching a bunch of videos is insane. Okay? There's a reason why people go to college for these certain things. You shouldn't go to college if you want to start a business or something. Waste of a degree. An art degree, who cares? Wipe your ass with it. But for a quantum physicist, go to college, bro. You need to go to college. I'm so sick of this thing where everybody's like, well, what does a degree, it's a piece of paper, it doesn't mean anything, it's just a piece of paper. I didn't go to school just to get a piece of paper. Okay, it's much more than a piece of paper, guys. Please. The disrespect, bro, is off the charts.
And then I was able to see the connection between the science and spirituality. And I realized that the quantum physics is really explaining what's happening on the spiritual realm. In other words, the quantum physics is the breakdown and understanding of spiritual energy and what's really happening when you're meditating, when you're focusing on things, when you're trying to manifest reality. All those things are really explained through quantum physics.
Brother, you watch Spirit Science. Just say so.
Questioning, okay, if what they said about God is true, that means I'm an artifact. That he just formed some clay and made me and blew some life into me. And they forgot to mention, or the people that was writing it was unaware of the Brownian effect, that clay is not some dead, unliving material. That clay is alive. It's vibrating and polarizing from positive to negative. Everything, and it's mating. Everything is mating. Like when I mentioned wave conjugations, I always hear, oh, waves don't conjugate. It's like, no, you don't understand that these things are living and are mating. The sex principle is a big part of everything. That's how the universe reproduces itself.
I hate myself for making myself watch this. Okay, so the more he keeps mentioning biblical stuff, the more it starts to get a little scary, because this is where people who believe in religious ideologies can really get swept up in this whole thing. I mean, if you go down and look at their comment section about people, they're like tripping over themselves to praise Terry on reaffirming their belief in something, and it's really scary how it's scary for people who are religious, because they can be manipulated very easily. Just by somebody mentioning a few biblical phrases or words, they can really get like caught up in that thing. And I did a video on this a while ago about Enneagrams, but people who are religious, not all of them, but a lot of people who are religious are of the type 6 mindset, meaning that they really want authority figures present in their life, and they need to be attached to something higher in order to get a proxy of strength from that. So a lot of people who are religious are privy to get into cults and stuff, and they have this hive mindset that these, like, I want to be around people who are just like me, and I want to be accepted into the group. And so Terry mentioning this stuff about God and everything, it starts to get cult-like now, because now he's making people be like, oh, Terry knows what he's talking about, he must be like the next coming of Christ. And they're not literally saying that, but seriously, go look at their comment section. It's just people who are like, praise God, Terry is here to spread the good word, and like all this other shit, so he's attracting those kind of people, and it's a little freaky at this point now, because he's getting that cult-like following that he really wants.
Illusion. All of this is an illusion, and to consider all of our collapsing waves, like the weight, the atmosphere, the pressure, the weight of the atmosphere, that's what holds each system together. So it should be the returning magnetic waves are responsible for the things that we call matter holding itself together. But if we just go.
There is nothing you could ask Terry that he will be like, I don't know that much about that. There's just absolutely nothing in the world that you could mention. He has an answer for everything, and I guarantee it, okay? This is a man, he just loves to hear himself talk. Telling people that he's this misunderstood genius is part of grandiosity. Grandiosity is thinking that you're being misunderstood, and nobody can really understand you because they have to catch up to you. You know everything. How could you? And you expect people to follow you because you're you. Why wouldn't you? You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't. Grandiosity is no, I don't have to prove anything to everybody. Everybody just needs to realize how great I am. Which, that isn't right. If Terry really wants to make an impact in the scientific community, he would be jumping over himself to go around other brilliant people and be like, okay, what do I have to do so that you guys are taking me seriously? Like, do I need to make some kind of documentary? Do you guys want me to go back and study? He asked Neil deGrasse Tyson for his treatise or whatever, and Neil deGrasse was like, it's cute, but fuck off. And Terry got real upset about that. He didn't like that because Terry thinks he's great already. It didn't trigger something in him that was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe a few of my things were a little bit extreme. I can understand that. No, there's no reflection on his part. There's just, I'm great. Everybody worship me, love me, and validate me. That's how Terry works. We gotta watch out for these people. You cannot be getting manipulated by people like this, because when a person is mentioning religion so much and things like that, they most of the time want to manipulate you. They probably want something from you. And so they're bringing your defenses down to manipulate you and use you for their own validation and things like that. So we just got to be aware of this, guys. We really got to be aware. We got to teach people to be aware of this so that they're not getting manipulated. There's a lot of people out there who want to take advantage of other people, and I do not like that. It really makes me uncomfortable when people are out here trying to manipulate people. I'm just grossed out by it. I'm skeeved out by it. So yeah.
This is phenomenal, man. This is a great conversation. I think people are going to get a lot out of this, and I'm so glad that we're here doing this in person, man, because this is going to be I like giving people credit where credit is due, and I really think you have a magnificent mind, and whether a person went to Stanford, Harvard, or MIT or whatever, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing, because who was the first quantum physicist, and where did his degree come from? It didn't exist, right? There's no degree. There's no university. He went to the University of Life, and he got his degree in nature. And then he began to teach that to people, and then eventually they created a university, and then eventually people got a certificate for going there.
Make it stop. Make it stop, please. All right, so I'm almost done here because I'm reaching my limit of stupidity at this point. But just to react to what Billy said, having a degree somewhere doesn't matter. Yeah, it kind of does matter. It means you studied something at a place with resources for you to learn more. And when you're talking about something like quantum physics, you need to study and have a place where you can experiment and operate and have the tools to be able to test theories and things like that. You can't do that maybe if you have a lot of money, maybe you can do the experiments and stuff in your garage, but you don't have the minds. You don't have the brains teaching you, this kind of stuff. And learning it online on websites is not the equivalent to that. And we gotta stop the disrespect towards people who go to college, just like we have to stop the disrespect towards people who don't go to college. Because if you're talking about art, if you're talking about being an artist, and someone goes to a university and somebody doesn't, you can still be a better artist than the person that went to school. That's not something that we need to equate. But when you're talking about being a doctor, when you're talking about being a lawyer, when you're talking about being a scientist, these are things where you probably need to go to university to be considered in the conversation. Now, is that always the case? No. Look at Graham Hancock. He is not an archaeologist, but Graham Hancock has a lot of history in newspapers reporting on this type of thing. He's been interested in it for decades and decades and decades. So he's more than qualified to go out there and, be interested in archaeological things without being a studied archaeologist per se. But Terrence Howard and Billy Carson, just because you stood in your backyard and you saw something strange in the sky, does not qualify you to be an aerospace engineer. Just because you had an experience at 39 does not qualify you to go out here and be a quantum physicist. And Terry, for God's sakes, just because you know a lot of big words and watch Spirit Science doesn't mean you can be out here and tell us that you have a theory of everything. You don't have a theory of everything, okay? There's this thing that a lot of people on the right, romanticize this thing, and so they can be manipulated very easy, and they got to watch out for this. But the right, they want to push this narrative of the average guy who knows a lot more than he thinks, because the left is so good at like using their university and their ties and suits and looking down on those people. So a lot of people on the right push this, I'm smarter than these big liberal college university professors because I experience life and I do this and I do that. Yeah, that can be true, but we got to watch out for people like Terrence Howard and Billy Carson, where they don't just think that they're smarter in life. They think that they can just push these people over and be like, hey, don't listen to any of that bullshit. Don't listen to anything that came before me. I'm going to teach you something new that I just read on the internet, and I'm qualified to teach you that. Slow, pump the brakes, okay? That's not what we need right now. That's not what we need. Like I was saying earlier in the video, we have this, inflation of our egos about how much we know because we have the world at our fingertips. But we really need to take a step back and look at like how much we don't actually know. There's so much that we don't know that we're just going on the internet and trying to think that we can change the world by doing whatever it is. We just think that we watch a couple videos, we do our own research, and we can change, and we're smart enough to go up against these MIT professors and all that, which is just not the case. We need to respect one another, both people who are in academia and people who are not. It doesn't have to be a this or that. There's reasons, and we need both of these people to exist in society. So we can't just champion the one over the other and just be like, nah, we're not going to listen to those big liberal professors. We're just going to listen to Terrence Howard and Billy Carson just go on about nonsense all day. Anyway, guys, this video is getting far too long. I'm going to head out. I literally can't do it anymore. My brain won't take it. I think I only got through about 30 minutes of this podcast, and it's just agonizing. So if you guys want me to review more of this video and just straight up torture myself again, do it put it in the comments. If you want me to review something else, put that in the comments too. But I'm at my limit today, so I gotta go. Like, comment, subscribe. My name's Dave Blacks, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully in better spirits than I left today. See ya.